The uncomfortable truth is this: most of what you call personality is just emotion left unattended. It speaks first, it decides quickly, and then it pretends it was wisdom all along. If you have ever said something you did not mean, stayed in something you knew was shrinking you, or ruined a peaceful day with a private storm, you already know how little power loud feelings actually give you. Real power is not the ability to dominate a room. It is the ability to remain unruled inside yourself. Here is the promise. Over the next few minutes, you will learn to see emotional control not as suppression, but as freedom. You will learn why the calm person is not less human, but more sovereign. And you will leave with practical ways to meet fear, failure, pain, and anxiety without being owned by them. Ways that can be used in traffic, in conflict, in ambition, in grief, and in the ordinary hours where most of life is decided. A hard truth: your emotions do not ask permission before they arrive, but they do ask permission before they govern. There is always a fraction of a second where a feeling becomes a verdict only if you sign it. People often believe the feeling is the problem, yet the feeling is only an impression, a first draft of the mind, written quickly to keep you alive. The problem begins when you treat that draft as law. Consider a modern moment. You receive a message that feels cold, or you see a colleague praised while your work is ignored. A heat rises. The mind instantly writes a story. I am disrespected, I am unseen, I am losing. If you answer while the story is still wet on the page, you will not be speaking. You will be leaking. Emotional control is the simple, difficult act of refusing to confuse a feeling with a final truth. A hard truth. Most conflict is not a clash of ideas, but a collision of unexamined states. Two anxious minds can turn a small misunderstanding into a permanent fracture. Two proud minds can turn a minor critique into a lifelong feud. The Stoics noticed this long before smartphones and open offices. What harms us is not the event, but our judgment about the event. Not because events are harmless, but because the mind adds a second wound, the insistence that what happened must mean we are diminished. The reversal is quiet but radical. Control does not mean you feel less, it means you obey less. A person with emotional control may still feel anger, jealousy, or fear. The difference is that these feelings are guests, not rulers. They are information, not commands. You can listen without surrendering. Picture the difference in a relationship. Someone you love says something sharp, and your body prepares for war. If you strike back, you may win the sentence and lose the trust. Emotional control is the pause that protects what matters. It is the ability to ask, even silently, what is the best response, not the most satisfying reaction. That question is not weakness, it is discipline in its most human form. A hard truth: the world will not adjust itself to match your inner needs. It will not stop being unfair because you are tired. It will not stop being noisy because you are sensitive. It will not stop being uncertain because you crave closure. If your peace depends on life behaving, you will be at war forever. The reflection that follows is not pessimism, it is a doorway. If the world will not reliably cooperate, then the only stable place to build is within your own judgments. The Stoic idea of control is not a trick to avoid pain. It is a map of responsibility. You control your choices, your attention, your values, your consent. You do not control other people's moods, the economy, the past, or the random cruelty of timing. Emotional control begins the day you stop asking for control where it cannot exist. A practical example. Think of anxiety before an important meeting. The mind rehearses disasters. You will stumble, they will judge, you will be exposed. The body reacts as if the threat is present. Emotional control is not repeating, everything will be fine. It is saying, even if it is not fine, I can still choose my conduct. You can prepare your notes, speak clearly, and accept that outcomes are never fully owned. The relief is subtle. You move from demanding certainty to practicing courage. A hard truth. Many people prefer intensity over clarity because intensity makes them feel alive. They chase the high of outrage, the rush of drama, the quick certainty of blame. It is easier to be inflamed than to be honest. Yet an inflamed mind is easily steered. It can be manipulated by headlines, by rumors, by the moods of strangers. Emotional control is not a moral accessory. It is protection against being used. The reversal here is sharp. The person who says what they feel at all times is not necessarily authentic. Often, they are simply untrained. Authenticity without discipline is not truth. It is impulse wearing a noble mask. Real sincerity includes the courage to examine what you feel before you present it as reality. You can see this in everyday life when someone insists, "I'm just being honest," while they are actually being careless. Emotional control is the ability to translate raw emotion into clean speech. It turns "you never respect me" into "when that happened, I felt dismissed, and I want to understand why." That is not softness. That is precision, and precision is a form of strength. A hard truth. Pain will visit you, and it will not ask whether you are ready. Loss arrives. Bodies weaken. Plans break. People disappoint. The naive hope is that emotional control will prevent pain. It will not. The wiser hope is that emotional control will prevent pain from becoming meaninglessness. The Stoics spoke of endurance, but not as grim endurance. They meant the capacity to meet what is difficult without adding unnecessary suffering. They distinguished between what happens to you and what you become because of it. The mind that panics at pain says, "This should not be happening." The mind with control says, "This is happening. Now what is the right way to carry it?" A practical example. A failure you cannot hide, a rejection, a public mistake, a project that collapses. Emotion demands immediate interpretation. I am finished, I am behind, I am less. Emotional control does something quietly heroic. It delays interpretation. It allows you to say, "This hurts," without rushing to "this defines me." And in that space, you regain options. You can learn, repair, ask for feedback, begin again, or leave what no longer fits. A hard truth. People often mistake emotional control for coldness because they have never seen calm used as love. But calm can be a form of respect. It refuses to punish others with your unprocessed inner weather. It refuses to make your pain someone else's debt. Here is the first half of our journey reaching its turning point. Emotional control is not about shrinking your humanity. It is about enlarging your freedom. And if this way of thinking resonates with you, take a quiet second now to subscribe to the channel and leave a thoughtful comment about one emotion you want to understand better, not merely control. It helps shape the conversations we build here. Now the second half begins, and the question deepens. If emotional control is real power, what does that power actually serve? Not dominance, not image, not the performance of being unbothered. It serves meaning. It serves the ability to live by values even when feelings argue against them. A hard truth. Without emotional control, your values are only decorations. You can speak about patience, but anger will spend your patience in 5 seconds. You can speak about integrity, But fear will sell your integrity cheaply. You can speak about love, but pride will keep a record of every slight. Values do not survive strong emotion unless they are practiced inside it. The reversal is humbling. The test of your character is not who you are when you are comfortable. It is who you become when you are activated, when you are tired, criticized, tempted, or afraid. In those moments, emotional control is the bridge between your ideals and your behavior. A practical example. Imagine you are in a disagreement at home. You feel misunderstood. Your partner feels the same. The easy route is to win. The higher route is to understand. Emotional control lets you notice the moment your goal shifts from truth to victory. It lets you return to a better aim. We are on the same side, even if we are not in the same mood. This is not a technique. It is a decision about what matters more, your ego's appetite or your life's peace. A hard truth: you will never fully escape fear, and you should not want to. Fear is not the enemy, it is a signal. The danger is not fear itself, but the habit of letting fear write your limits. Fear will tell you to delay the difficult conversation, to stay in the smaller job, to keep the mask on, to choose comfort over growth. Emotional control does not silence fear. It asks fear a better question. What are you trying to protect, and what are you costing me? The Stoic move here is separate what you feel from what you choose. You can feel fear and still act with courage. You can feel anger and still speak with restraint. You can feel sadness and still care for your responsibilities. Freedom is not the absence of emotion. It is the presence of choice. A modern example. You want to start something, a business, a creative project, a new education, a healthier life. Fear arrives dressed as practicality. It says, "Not now." It provides reasons that sound wise. You are too late, too inexperienced, too busy. Emotional control is recognizing that fear can argue convincingly. Then you act anyway, not recklessly, but deliberately. You take the smallest honest step. One application, one phone call, 1 hour of work. That is how control becomes power. Not by grand declarations, but by disciplined movement. A hard truth: resentment is often a form of self-importance. It says, "I should not be treated this way." And sometimes you truly should not. But resentment rarely fixes injustice. More often, it keeps you tethered to the very thing you claim to reject. It turns your inner life into a courtroom where you replay the case without ever reaching a verdict that frees you. The reversal is liberating. Forgiveness, in many cases, is not letting someone off the hook. It is taking your mind off their leash. Emotional control means you can still set boundaries, still speak the truth, still leave what is harmful, without carrying an inner vendetta that poisons your future. You can refuse someone's behavior without letting it occupy your identity. A practical example: someone betrays your trust at work. Your first impulse is to obsess, to monitor, to retaliate, to keep the wound open because closing it feels like surrender. Emotional control offers another path. Document facts. Protect yourself. Address the issue through the right channels, and then return your attention to what builds your life. This is not passivity. It is strategic dignity. A hard truth: attention is your most valuable resource, and emotion is the fastest thief of attention. Outrage can consume a day, envy can consume a year, anxiety can consume a decade. The cost is not merely feeling bad, the cost is living less. Emotional control is a way of reclaiming time. The Stoic practice of attention is not abstract. It is the ability to notice what you are feeding in your mind. You may not control the first thought, but you often control the second, the third, and the hours of rehearsal that follow. You can choose what you return to, and what you return to becomes your life. A modern example, the endless scroll, the constant comparisons, the quiet sense that everyone else is advancing while you are standing still. Emotional control is the refusal to let other people's highlight reels become your inner standard. It is choosing to measure your life by your own principles. The quality of your work, the steadiness of your relationships, the honesty of your habits, the clarity of your mind. Comparison becomes less interesting when you are devoted to something real. A hard truth. Not every emotion deserves expression. Some emotions deserve containment until they can be refined. The culture often tells you that release is healing, that venting is honesty, that intensity is authenticity. But many people vent the same emotions for years and call it processing. In truth, they are rehearsing. The reversal is precise. Restraint is not repression when it is paired with understanding. Emotional control means you can sit with a feeling long enough to learn its shape. You can ask what it points to, a need, a value, a fear, a grief. Then you respond in a way that aligns with who you want to be, not merely with what you momentarily feel. A practical example. You are anxious at night, and your mind wants to solve your entire life at 2 a.m. Emotional control may look like a small ritual. You write down the problem, list what is in your control tomorrow, and give yourself permission to stop negotiating with the dark. You do not win against anxiety by wrestling it. You outlast it by refusing to feed it. A hard truth. Inner peace is not a mood. It is a skill. And like any skill, it is built through repetition in small moments that do not look heroic. It is built when you choose not to answer immediately. When you breathe before you speak. When you let a slight pass without turning it into an identity. When you accept that you cannot control outcomes, only conduct. The final reversal is the one most people resist. Emotional control is not merely for difficult times. It is for the good times too. Without it, success makes you arrogant, praise makes you dependent, pleasure makes you careless, and comfort makes you fragile. With it, success becomes gratitude, praise becomes information, pleasure becomes presence, and comfort becomes a base from which you can face harder days without collapsing. So if you want to know what real power looks like, do not picture a person who is never shaken. Picture someone who is shaken and does not become cruel, someone who is disappointed and does not become bitter, someone who is afraid and does not become small, someone who is in pain and does not surrender their mind to it. That is not perfection. That is sovereignty. And here is what will echo if you let it. The world can touch your life in countless ways, but only you can grant it permission to rule your inner kingdom.